I told you all the inclusion criteria questions answer must be yes. All the criteria answers must be no. So based on that, we are going to select. Not only that one, what is the data that we should collect? How we should collect the data? What are the treatments that we should give? How many visits that we have? Sorry, we are going to have all this information in the protocol. The protocol is going to be around 152 to sometimes 300 pages lengthy book. It is going to have the complete detailed document. It is a script, a screen day. How we are going to do the clinical trial. And I told you once we design the protocol, then what the next step that we are going to do? We are going to design a CRF sheet. And what the full form of a CRF sheet? Case report is report file. I told you this is a part of clinical trial data. 80% of the data we are going to collect from the CRF sheet. We collect the data directly from the subject into the CRF sheet. Now that information from the CRF sheet, we are going to put that information into database. And I told you once by designing a CRF sheet, we are going to do consultations with the clinical site. You know what we mean by clinical site? Clinical site is nothing but the place where we conduct the clinical trial. Maybe in a hospital, maybe in a research organization where we conduct the clinical trial. That is called the clinical site. So we are going to do consultations with the clinical site and the people with the clinical site. And finally, we are going to confirm one final CRF sheet. And I told you, after the CRF sheet has been finally designed, what the next step that we are going to do? We are going to design a database. We are going to design a database. Okay, we will design a database. So with the requirement, based on our CRF sheet and our protocol and our study, we will approach any database company. Now those database companies will design a specific customized database. And this depends on our study, our financial expectations, based on all those things, they are going to design it. Now previously, we used to use a database called Clinical Oracle a lot, but nowadays we are using a Wave data. Also, this is a very flexible database. Do we have anybody in our class from CDU? Anybody who works in CDU? Okay. So we are going to choose any one database. All these databases are paid databases, so they are going to design a customized database based on our requirement. It costs a lot of money. But ever since they have a pilot project, we cannot afford so much of money. Just like we are 25 to 30 subjects, a small study. So in such scenario, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go with some open sources. There are going to be certain open source tools. So we have any free database tools. We can use those database tools. And one of the such tools that we have, Open Clinica. Okay, we can use the Open Clinica tool. And this is a free database tool. Anybody can download from the internet, but they can use this tool. But since it's a free tool, it is not a customized one. It is just a generalized, a common source. So we can download and we can use it. Okay, in the same way, we have eClinical Suite. So there are other freely open databases. We can choose, we can download them, and we can use it. But since it's open source, not so secure, not so customized. So it depends upon the requirement that yes, we are going to design a database. Once the database design has been completed, now we are going to set up the CDM department and we are going to choose the CDM name. Now, once the setup has been ready, once the CDM department has become ready, now we are going to give signal to the clinical site. Yes, we can initiate it, we can start the clinical trial. So we are going to send all the empty CRF sheet to the clinical site, and we are going to send all the treatment information, treatment medications. We are going to submit everything into the clinical site. Now at the clinical site, now what we are going to do, they are going to give the paper notifications. We are going to give you notifications, and based on the notifications, people are the voluntarily, they are going to enroll themselves. Now after enrollment got over. Okay, once the enrollment got over, so what we are going to do, if anybody wants to involve in a clinical trial, what we are going to do, there is going to be a document called informed consent. We are going to hand over them the informed consent, and we are going to ask them to sign the informed consent. Informed consent is a very important document. It is a private document. Anybody who wants to involve in a clinical trial, they have to sign the informed consent. Then only we are going to start the screening procedure. Okay, what is informed consent? In informed consent, we are going to have a text saying that I myself voluntarily involving in this clinical trial. Nobody is forcing me, and nobody is asking me to get involved. I myself getting involved in this clinical trial. Understand this one? So you have to sign the informed consent in order to get involved in the clinical trials. But most of the times, informed consent is for the English nowadays. If somebody doesn't want, if anybody isn't able to read the informed consent, what they should do? They need to get their key representatives in their presence. They have to read it out loud, and in their presence, the subject should sign the informed consent, and they should submit it. Informed consent is very, very important. I told you at the starting. The most important thing in clinical trial is subject safety. If the subject safety has been compromised, they are going to suspend the clinical trial. So they should not compromise the subject safety. So what we are going to do, informed consent is very, very important. Whatever the step that we are going to do, everything should be after the informed consent signature. So we are going to have a date on informed consent date signed, and that date is very, very important. Whatever the treatment, screening, adverse events, anything we have, all those dates must be after the informed consent signed. Understand this, everybody? So once you sign the informed consent, then they are going to collect the data from you. They are going to collect the demographic data from you, and then they are going to collect your medical history, and then they are going to collect all the other information, and then they are going to start with the screening procedure. Based on inclusion exclusion criteria, they are going to do the screening. For the screen, they are going to collect the samples, they are going to run the test. Based on that, they are going to, after screening procedure, if you have satisfied all the criteria, then they are going to confirm your eligibility. Once the eligibility has been confirmed, then what they are going to do, then they are going to start the treatment. By doing all these things, so whatever information they are getting out, they are going to fill all the information onto the CRF sheet. So whatever information they collect on the CRF sheet, now they are going to send the field CRF sheets now to the CDM gate. Now, the people who have been data entry people, what they are going to do, they are going to enter the data which is present on the CRF sheet. They will enter the data into the database. They are going to enter the data into the database. And again, I'm going one step back when they're designing the database. Previously, SQL programmers used to involve in the database designing, but nowadays, even the SAS programmers are also getting involved in the database design. So, for example, how we design the database? We design the database based on the CRF sheet. Okay? So now, just imagine. Can't you get my voice? You're not getting my voice? Guys?
We can hear you, sir.
Yes, sir. Is a column called keys. Okay? According to inclusion criteria, we should select only the subjects with age from 18 to 65. This is the rule I set in the CR sheet. In the inclusion criteria. So that means when the subject comes to the clinical site, I will ask the subject's date of birth and age, and he is going to tell his age. Now I am going to collect that information on the CR. Now on the CR sheet, I collected the information. Say for example 23. Either 23 comes between these two values. In between those two values. Yes, it is. 24. Now I collected on the CR sheet the age as 13. Now I don't know whether this is the right answer or wrong answer, but I collected 13. Now in the CR sheet we have 13. Now I'm trying to enter the 13 into the database. When I'm entering the data 13, what the database should do? The database should escalate the ticket. So that's why when you're designing a database, what I'm going to do, wherever I have an age column in the database, in the backend, not going to write a condition. One if condition that you can suggest me in base as to get only age between 18 to 65.
If age is
If age greater than or equal to 8, in the backend, we are going to write a condition, and this condition we are going to embed it in the database. Now, when you try to enter the 13, since the 13 is not present within this range, it is going to show a red color error. It will show because of whatever the 13 is trying to enter, this is out of the range. If I try to enter 34 or 43 or 43 or 45 or 50, since the value is within the range, it should not show any error. So for that purpose, in the backend we are going to write a condition, and I'm going to keep the condition. In the backend, I'm going to embed the condition and start the process. Normally we call it as range checks, and then we are going to call it as range checks. Range checks and range checks. So for example, it is a place to study. I should take only the subjects whose blood glucose level must be present between 250 to 450. Again, the backend, I am going to write a condition. What is the condition? Right? The glucose greater than or equal to 450 and it should be less than or equal to, greater than or equal to 50 and less than or equal to 450. Whenever I have a glucose level in the original results, in the CR sheet, if I write enter that one, if the value is between those two, then only you should take that, otherwise you should give a warning. And that is called recheck and range checks. Nowadays, app programmers are getting involved in designing those rechecks and designing the databases to write the rechecks and range. So if as a app programmer, you can also get involved in the database design. Understand this one? But anyhow, now whatever the CR sheet, field CR sheet that we have, now these field CR sheets now will come into CDM department. So the people in CDM department will enter the data from CR sheet into the database. And by the way, while entering the data, how we are going to enter the data, we are nowadays following a method called two-level entry, or we also call it as double entry. Now what is double entry? In the database, we are going to have a duplicate pages. So two different people, two CDM programmers, or two data entry people will enter the same CR sheet into database. Because if only one person is entering the data which is present on the CR sheet into the database, whatever the data that the person entered, that is going to be compiled. We don't know whether it's an accurate one, whether it's a right answer, correct value, or wrong one. But whatever the data that he entered, that is going to become the final. But remember, imagine the one value entered by two different people in two different places. What is going to happen? Even if one programmer entered a wrong value, the other programmer is going to enter the right value. Isn't it? But if both the programmers are given the one value, that means that is the right value. If the programmers are two entering directly and the two different values, so then it is going to raise a ticket. It is going to give a warning. So by crossing the warning, now I'm going to cross check the CR sheet. I'm going to see that I entered the right data or not. So that is how two different people enter the data, the same data into the CR, into the database. So why we do this one? To get more and more accurate data, to avoid such unnecessary errors. So it is a continuous process. The data entry people will enter the data into the database. And if it gets on the study with 90 days or 100 days or 1 year or 2 years, depends on that, continuously they are going to enter the data. Once the study has got over, now the data manager is going to issue a notification. So saying that, like, I'm going to close the database on so and so date. If anybody still have any pending work, you can enter the data into the database. So I'm going to log the database on 10th of June 2023. So the data manager is going to issue a notification. By the 10th of June, everybody who has got pending work still wants to enter the data, they're going to enter the data. Once the data entry has been got over, on one final day, on 10th of June, now the data manager is going to log the database. Once the database has been logged, this is called database log. Once the database has been logged, nobody should unlock the database, should not enter the data again. If you unlock the database, once you have been logged, once the database has been logged, if you unlock that is one of the biggest crime as a data manager that you are applying. There are some instances where if you unlock the database once it has been locked, so it is going to cost you your job. They are going to ask you to resign if you unlock for any unnecessary reasons. Understand this one? Once the database has been locked, and by the way, I'm going to tell you one important thing. Say for example, here I'm filling the CR sheet. While I'm filling the CR sheet, I enter the age value 30 in the CR sheet as an investigator. Now the CR sheet came to the CDM department. Now the CDM person tried to enter the value 30. So since in the back end I have written age check, when I try to enter the 30, it is going to issue a warning. It is going to pop up a ticket. So now the CDM person is going to escalate a warning, a notice, a notification, ticket to again the critical site. Now, whatever the data value that is present in the CR sheet, when I try to enter the data value into the database, if the database is giving the warning and that value is called as an A, what you call it as an A? We call it as an A, data discrepancy. What do you mean by discrepancy? A discrepancy is nothing but a mistake, an error. What do you mean by data discrepancy? Any data value which is unable to cross the age check. Any data value which is unable to cross the age check or unable to cross the age check, then that is called as an A. Okay. So any data value which is unable to pass the edit check is called as a data discrepancy. Now, whenever we have a data discrepancy, what does CDM people will do? The CDM people is going to fill an application form that is called as a DCF, data clarification form, and they will send the data clarification form to the clinical side. Now, the people at the clinical side who is responsible in filling that information, they are going to cross-check that information, and by cross-checking, after the cross-checking, they will enter the right data, and they are going to tell the reason, and again, that value is going to come back up, and now the CDM people will enter the data again. And this is called a resolution of the error, a resolution of the data discrepancy. So, now since it's an easy error sheet, the resolution of the data discrepancy is going to be very, very easy and very fast, because everything is online, we can do it very fast. But just imagine with the paper error sheet, I just said it in the last class, it will take a lot of time to do the resolution. So, in this way, they are going to resolve the issues, and finally, they are going to lock the database. Once the database has been locked, now this is the end of the CDM. Now, by the way, as a graduate, you have here a couple of job opportunities. If you are interested, you can work as a CRO or a CRA, you can involve in a clinical trial. All you need to have a graduation, a graduate degree, a bachelor's degree, you can become a CRO or CRA. If you are interested in traveling, if you are interested in meeting new people, and you want to communicate with hospital people, and now you can choose for CROs and CRAs. You have to go to the clinical site, you should conduct the clinical trial, and you should get the CR sheet, you need to submit the CR sheet to the clinical CDM department, and you should take the medication from the sponsor, and you should submit the medication to the clinical site, and you need to engage the subjects. You need to recruit the subjects, and you are going to all the operations. So now that role comes under CRO and CRA, clinical research officer or clinical research associate. Not so lucrative. You get 25 to 30, and you get a lot of TS and DS. If you are interested in the traveling and field work, you can do this. Understand this, everybody? Is it clear, everyone? Now,
Yes.
and now the next one is yes, you can work as a CDM person. Yes.
ఇప్పుడు ఇంటర్వ్యూలో మీరు జాబ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఎడిట్ చెప్పిన వర్క్ చేసామంటే అది ఇప్పుడు మనం రియల్ టైమ్ లో చేసామని అనుకుంటారా సార్?
Yes, you can answer that. Because if you understand the CR sheet properly, you can easily write as a SAS programmer. As a SAS programmer, you can easily write the edit checks. By seeing that the requirement in the CR sheet, you can write the edit checks.
అంటే ప్రతి జాబ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ అలా చేసే అవకాశం ఉంటుందా సార్?
There is some small companies. So in the small companies, as a SAS program, you have to do end-to-end work. You should get involved in the database design. You should get involved in the CRF design, ECRF creation, and you should get involved in the CDM items and tables and submissions. You are going to get involved into it.
Okay.
In those companies, so yes, you are going to have a chance to work as a database designer, so you are going to work on edit checks and read checks.
Okay, thank you.
Now, and the next important thing is, as a life sciences graduate, if you want, you can also get involved in CDM, data management. All you need to do, you should enter the data from the CRF sheet into the database, you should maintain, you should organize the data, you should execute the data. So, CDM is better than the CROs and CRAs in terms of financial wise and work-wise, but not so promising. After 3 to 4 years, this job is going to get saturated. There's no much financial or career, there will be no much growth after 3 to 4 years. But nowadays, in countries like US and UK, CDM is also becoming a good paying job. Okay, we can opt for CDM also, but in India, you will not get much income, maybe 25 to 30,000 per month or something like that, by the end of second or third year. That is going to CDM. Now, apart from these two, while we are conducting the clinical trial, continuously the data is going to get flow, and we are going to get the data into the CRF sheet. From the CRF sheet, the people will enter the data into the database. Now, how the clinical trial is conducting, how the subjects are getting adverse event, what kind of adverse event they are getting. Is it that the adverse event has been already listed, but if anybody is getting a new adverse event, even that's occurred. Now we are going to monitor live, and that is called as a pharmacovigilance. If we conduct the clinical trial, they are going to do this pharmacovigilance. And if you want, you can also ask for the pharmacovigilance PV. And okay, after 3 to 4 years, this is also fine. Then again, after 3 to 4 years, there will be no much growth in the PV. All you need to do, you need to observe the data. You need to explain if you have any new adverse event which is not been listed out, or if you need that occurred, you have to collect that information. Now, that is also a good question. Okay, now, so once the database has been locked, now it is the end of the data management. Now, there is going to be a separate team called data extraction. What this data extraction team will do is the data extraction team will extract the data from the locked database into the SAS. So, here we have the database, and we are going to get the data from the database into SAS. Do you know how to extract the data, anybody?
Yes, sir.
What do you think? Using ProcSQL pass-through program. Remember in the starting I told you? For the ProcSQL pass-through program that we have? This is called ProcSQL pass-through program. We are going to write ProcSQL. Then what we should write? Now what we are going to do? We are going to write correct to the database name. Say for example, if you are using a web database in our company, you can write a name and you should open the parentheses. User is equal to username. You should write your username and then you should write a password is equal to, we should write whatever the password that they have given. You should write the password, it is an equal. Then again, what we should write now? We should write a table, the table name, whatever the name, what as a select start from, again you should write one more name, and then you should do the database name. I should do the database name. And then what you write now? Open the parentheses. Now again, I'm going to select the star from, whatever the table name that we have. We should write the table name, go the parentheses, keep a semicolon, and then we should write what we should write? Disconnect from the database. This is the program you should write. This is called SQL pass-through program. In some English, they will ask you, can you tell me what is the syntax that you will write to extract the data from the database? Exactly, this is the syntax we need to explain. But you can also tell in the operation, we don't connect the database, so there is going to be a separate team called data extraction team. Those people will extract the data and they will provide us raw SAS datasets. By writing this program, ultimately what we are going to get now? We are going to get a SAS database that is going to be raw datasets. Understand this one? Now once we have a raw SAS dataset, now there is going to be a team called a CDM team. What this SDM team will do? By using SDM contains and the SAS skills, they are going to convert the raw datasets into SDM datasets. Now there is going to be next team which is called as an ADAM team. What this ADAM team will do? By using ADAM guidelines and by using again SAS skills, what they will do? They are going to convert into ADAM datasets. Now there is going to be a SAS team, data analysis team, by using SAS skills. Okay. Again, by using SAS, by using the options and SAP SAS analysis time, they are going to create tables. What they will do, they are going to create instance, and then they are going to create graphs.
Figures.
Figures. And then they will submit. And we are going to submit a serial analysis to a team, and the analysis to submit, and we are going to submit the tables, listings, and graphs. Now, as a SAS programmer, now we can work as a GA programmer, we can work as an ALM programmer, and we can work as a database SAS programmer. And along with this, so in most of the companies I will tell you later, we follow double programming. Double programming means the same code will be written by two programmers. So one program is called as a production or main programmer, and the other program is called as a validation or validator. We follow double programming concept. So you may be in a production side, or maybe validation side, or maybe sometimes in the same company, in the same team, sometimes you work as a production programmer, or sometimes you work in a validation programming also. And in a resume you can say, yes, I'm working in the production side, or I'm working in validation, sometimes I do both. So we have 3 roles, 3 into 2, 6 roles, both production and validation.
Still as
And along with
fresher,
that,
as a fresher, where can we work?
as a fresher, you will not have a choice. You can say that, yes, I learned basic and advanced as I did the internship, so you can enter entry for both. Because both are same.
Which will go to production or validation?
Production, always production.
Okay.
Production into both. Okay. Because certain companies will not have a separate validation. Okay, they do internal validation. Such things as scenarios, you will not have a separate role called validation. And along with that, to convert the RS into SVM data sets, we are going to use specifications. We can add a SAS program, we can involve the specifications. And then specifically, we are going to get SVM level and ARM level also. We also get the specifications, ARM specifications. That is our programmer. We can say, yes, I'm writing a specification, and then do that one. And along with that, whatever the CRF sheet that we have, from the CRF sheet, we are going to create a CRF sheet. We call it as a name, CRF annotation. So you can work as a CRF annotator. And that also comes under SAS programming. So we have around 9 different positions and roles we can fit anywhere at the end of our project classes. What is the advantage with attending project classes now? If you are really working in a company, if you are into the production, you will do only production all in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, almost kind of your pattern. If you join up like this, our class like, so now you don't fit for end to end, now you can attend interview for any of these roles. That is one of the greatest opportunities that we have. So now you can fit for anything you can apply for. But if you are really a junior programmer, you will not have these many choices. If you are in any company as a production programmer, just if you are a production programmer, you cannot do specification, you cannot write a CRF sheet, or you cannot write it in a database. Understand this one? Now, so we are going to focus on all the 9 positions. By the end of our course, you can apply for any of these positions. Clear, everybody? Now, where we are going to start our project, I'm going to provide the data sets, by the way, SAS data sets. And after giving the SAS data sets, I'm going to explain you what is SGDM, what are the values that we have. I'm going to explain everything. SGDM, all the values. So from the next class onwards, yes, we are going to start with the SGDM. And since we already know about the SAS, I'll help you to write the code. By using SGDM containers, by using our SAS kits, we are going to convert these SAS data sets into what else we are going to do that? We are going to convert that into SGDM final data sets. That is our first step. The next 1 month, we are going to work on this one. Once you create the SGDM data sets, again, I'm going to explain you RMIG guidelines. Since we have already SAS kits, by using the RMIG guidelines and the SAS kits, again, what we are going to convert SAS data sets, SGDM data sets into ARM data sets. And you become ARM programmer also. So it will take 15 to 20 days for ARMs, and then after that one, so by using your SAS kits, I'm going to explain you how to do the data analysis by using statistical concepts of SAS, and by using your SAS skills. What we're going to do, we are going to generate now the tables and the listings. Right now, there is a huge demand for ADAMS, tables and listings. So that's why our focus is mainly going to be on ADAMS and the tables and listings. Understand this one? So, of course, SGM is very important. If you have SGM, then only we can learn ADAMS and tables. But our focus mainly on going to ADAMS and tables because there is a huge demand right now for ADAMS and tables. If you are good with ADAMS and tables, there's 100% chance to get a job. So we can divide our course now into 3: SGDM, ADAMS, tables, listings, and graphs. So the first topic is going to SGDM, then after ADAMS and tables. In the classroom, I'm going to explain you one project. In the server, I'm going to provide 2 to 3 projects. So now I'm going to upload even more 5 to 7 projects. You can practice on after the class. You can practice all those 5 to 7 projects. Generally, who can do 5 to 7 projects in a year? We have an experience of 4 to 5 years. So if you practice it properly, continuously, if you spend more and more time, you can next to 3 months, you can learn, you can get an experience of 4 to 5 years. But you should promise me all the time you should spend your time only on SAS. And by the way, when you listen to the ADAMS project classes, you should revise your base SAS. Otherwise, if you focus only on project classes, SGDM and ADAMS, you'll forget about the base and advanced SAS. So you should parallelly, you should manage your time, you should practice base and advanced SAS, and along with that, you have to work on your project also. If you do it something extra for one, and if you forget the remaining thing, you're going to lose that one. Understand what I'm saying? So I'm not going to provide any notes, but I'm going to give you all the documents, important documents, and I'm going to give you if I have any PPTs, I will pass the PPTs as well. But if you listen to the class and if you note it down, that information more than enough to clear the interview, and I can promise you, you will not get any question other than our classroom. Even if you go with the 4 to 5 years also, you will not get any question other than our classroom. But what we have discussed in the classroom, and you will get only that information. That will get questions only from that. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Do you have any questions so far, anybody? Anybody have any questions so far?
Sir, SAP concept process, sir. Next
Which one?
SAP, sir. Statistical analysis, sir.
You will add tables and listings. And arrays. Yes, anybody any questions? Very big. And the case, the class is important for Monday. These are also important because if you're going as a fresher, whatever the topic that we covered yesterday and day before yesterday, you get so many questions from that. What is randomization? What is the parity? Sorry, what is the blinding? What is the subject? What is the study disease? What is the study curve? You get so many questions.
Sir,
this soft copy of this data?
For guidelines, when it comes to the guidelines, I will provide a soft copy. Okay. But all these things, like, you can write the running notes from that, you can get it. That is done. And just I strongly recommend you please refer some protocols. I'm going to share a couple of protocols. Please go through those protocols. That is very, very important way to start your point. Sir? Yeah, everybody?
Sir? So B.Pharmacy opportunities if it's a master degree or college.
You don't need to have for master's degree will be fine.
Okay, and along with stats will compulsory something.
No, nobody loves statistics, but if you have a statistics, it is an advantage for to understand the concept. Stat is not mandatory.
Okay, sir.
And you don't need for anything because we don't do any calculations under, we don't need to do divisions by using correct position, we get the result. Okay? We don't need to worry about the statistics.
Okay, sir. So last week మీరు RQA company interview questions చెప్పారు కదా సార్, can you share?
Yeah, I'll show that. I'll share.
Okay, thank you.
Clinical data study review of guidelines. So, for example, if I get good IT guidelines, I'll get to go, okay? From the LD90 guidelines, there is a variable called LD and RIT. Okay? The LD and RIT what values we should have low, we should have medium, and we should have high. Just imagine, low, medium, high. But how, other than these three values, I have something like that. I got a value few. But each is few in the control technology, no. But control technology, what values should we have? Low, medium, high. But what value got? Few. And this is against these guidelines now. But I can't help it, this is what I got in the data. Now, whatever the deviations I have from the LD90 guidelines, I'm going to notify that information in SDRG. Understand? Now, in future, whoever is going to review the data, since I mentioned this information, CSDRG, clinical study data, reviewers guidelines. Editing data review guidelines. Now, since I mentioned that one, please when reviewing the data, please consider this issue also because this is what we have. This is again the CSDRG guidelines. Now, whoever reading the data, now by seeing this CSDRG review guide, so they can understand, okay, this is acceptable because they have already mentioned this one, so they're going to pass this one. Okay? So what is it mean for? It is going to give extra information to the reviewer when they reviewing the data. They help this document when they reviewing the data. Okay? Anybody any doubts?
So I have one doubt. So currently I'm staying in Germany and I'm attending the classes. So I had one doubt that whether I'll be able to crack the SAS interview here.
Definitely. How can you pass your highest qualification degree?
MSc Biotechnology.
When did you complete your degree?
I actually did it in 2014. I have almost 6 years experience in CDM as well.
Okay, that's great. You know what? In India, with a 2 to 3 years experience, you can get a job. Okay, but with the same 2 to 3 years experience of India, you can put 5 to 6 years, even 7 years also in US, UK, and even Germany also. So whatever you are going to learn, it is good enough for 3.5 years in India. So that means it is good enough to crack an interview 6 to 7 years in Germany or US or UK. Okay. So if you practice it properly, whatever the knowledge that you're going to gain in the next 2 to 3 months, with that knowledge, you can easily crack 6 years of experience, 6 years experience in Germany.
Okay.
Okay, no need to worry. I'm going to guide you in that interview, cracking that interview on how to apply that one. Okay, so just information after the test you can cut over. I can help you with that.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Anyway, yeah, of course. Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, how long these are going to, like, how many months or weeks? I think I can tell you one thing. To be frank, clinical staff and SDM and Adamson, there will be no ending to be frank. So I started explaining, if I start explaining, by my experience, if I start explaining each and every concept of, just a new study, you come new scenario. So, but somewhere you need to stop it, right? Yes. Okay. I would say this is going to be 2.5 months, not more than that. So SDM, Adams, tables and listings to intermediate level to the next level. So it will take 2.5 months. 2.5 months. Okay. So in the 2.5 our course contained you can apply for jobs in India. And also various things, you can apply jobs like 3.5 years experience. Yeah, I'm in USA. Okay. In USA, so that you can experience. And they do the marketing. Consultants will do the marketing for you, right? I haven't tried that, but most likely yes. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to consultancy, they do the marketing for you. And they're going to do some initial screening tests. If you pass the screening test by the consultancy, they will do marketing for you. Where exactly that you stay? Which state? South Carolina. So where exactly the SAS has been born, right? North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina. Yeah. So I have one more question. Like you mentioned, you said you will explain like one project and we can do the other projects like from the server. Now, when we do actually do these projects, will it be parallel to your like your explanation as far as like progressing through the class? Sure, definitely. Because I cannot explain all the projects, so I'm going to take one project and explain that one. So then you can practice other projects. If you have any doubts, we can discuss in the class. Not a problem at all. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, guys. If you don't have any doubts, we can wrap up this session for today. See you in the next class. Okay, then see you in the next class. Thank you very much.
మీరు నోట్ చేస్తున్నారు